As a psychic, can I and do I connect for myself? Meaning, do I do readings for myself? I do, in a sense, and I might do this in several different ways. I use my intuition in my daily life. I will also notice if my own past loved ones connect to me, if they initiate the connection. I also communicate with my own animal companions. However, because I am not exactly an objective observer in my own life, I am an active participant, who is also emotionally tied to certain things, certain outcomes. I have my own desires for what I want to happen in my own life. All of that makes it hard for me to see objectively, clearly in my own life as well. If I have a health scare, for example, I myself might have a hard time knowing what's going on for myself because I am so tied to the outcome of that question of the health issue. And anxiety, of course, can very much get in the way. If it's high stakes to whatever question comes up in my life, then I am going to have a hard time staying objective, naturally. One of my very favorite ways to connect for myself is first journaling about a particular issue that I feel like I'm struggling with in my life. First of all, just as a way to get some clarity on what I'm actually feeling about it and what's the biggest issues related to that. And then I ask my own spirit guides for guidance on that particular issue. And I might draw a few cards, oracle cards, that sort of thing. And then I will journal about my own interpretation of those oracle cards in the context of the issue that I feel like I've been struggling with. The cards I use are usually some kind of oracle card deck, but I actually prefer to use an oracle card app. And the one I prefer to use is usually the Druid Plant and Animal Oracle. I have this as the actual deck, the Druid Animal Oracle, but I like the app because it has two decks in one. It has a little journal part to it, so you can kind of save the readings and add your notes to it, and it's just on my phone, so it's easy, But different decks are going to be useful for different types of situations. There's all kinds of oracle card decks out there. I personally am not into tarot, but tarot would be useful as well. So as a psychic medium, I don't typically use cards in my sessions for other people, but I have a bunch of decks that I like and that I will use once in a while when I connect for myself. Cards or other tools similar to cards are helpful as personal tools to use for tuning into your own life and situation because it lends some objectivity to the situation and reading. Of course, you still have to interpret the cards, and you can absolutely get in your own way and interpret the cards wrong because of your own bias influencing the way you interpret the cards. But a lot of decks will just give it to you straight. So let's say I hypothetically was thinking about going back to an old job I used to have that I was completely miserable in, but it was good money and steady job or something like that. And I now am wondering about going back to that job and being hopeful that maybe it'll be different this time. Maybe I won't be as miserable. So I might ask, what will be the outcome if I do go back to that job? And I pull a couple of cards from my Tea Leaf Oracle card deck, and I get teardrops, and it says literally on it, great personal sorrow. Can't see that. And cracked cup, dissatisfaction with life. Pretty obvious what the outcome will be. Kelly? Hi. Come here, you skinny girl. Oh, you're a skinny girl. You smelling food. Okay, back to work. There's another way of connecting that I really like using for myself that helps me stay a little more fully objective. This is especially useful when you're trying to make the best choice for yourself and trying to decide between a few different things. Let's say you're trying to decide between 3 different schools you want to go to, or between 3 different places you want to move to. You start by writing down each option on separate pieces of paper, then folding them each up so that you can't tell which is which anymore. And then you would mix them up so you really don't know which is which. And then you would label each of them 1, 2, and 3. You would then take turns holding each one, tuning into each option to feel into whether or not that option would be a good fit for you. And when I say intuitively tune into it, you would hold it and notice how does your body and energy react to that particular option. This is best done with eyes closed and just noticing the impressions you're getting in your body. So I actually did this exercise when I was trying to choose a car. I had to buy a used car last year because my old one broke down. And so I researched each car that I was considering thoroughly. And I whittled it down to 3 solid choices that were all good on paper, but buying a used car is always a bit dicey. So I wanted to make sure I was choosing one that was as good as it was on paper and that I would really enjoy and be happy with. So I wrote each choice on separate pieces of paper. Then I folded each one up and I mixed them around so I didn't know which is which. And then I labeled them 1, 2, and 3. And then I closed my eyes and took the one that was labeled number 1 into my hand. Then I set the intention that I would be tuning into if this choice would be a good fit for me, and also if I would enjoy it, if it was a good choice for a car, meaning also that it was mechanically safe and sound and as good as it was being presented to me. I then opened my awareness to notice any and all internal impressions I was getting. So, for example, if I was seeing an image of sunlight in my mind's eye, if I was suddenly feeling this sense of joy in my body, if I was feeling ease in my body or feeling relaxed, all of these impressions I would interpret as quite positive. If I was feeling tension in my body or in my stomach, or I was seeing an image in my mind's eye of broken metal, or even just non-car related imagery like the image of a rain cloud in my mind's eye, all of these I would interpret as negative and therefore not a good fit for me. If you do this exercise, you want to take note of images that you see in your mind's eye. You want to take note of feelings in your body, so emotions as well as physical sensations in your body. And you also want to take note of any sounds that you hear in your mind. And also, you can do things like you can pretend to eat the piece of paper that you're holding and notice, how does your body react to that? Do you feel nauseous? Do you get a taste in your mouth? Does it taste bitter? Or does it taste sweet or something else? The trick with this exercise is that you have to remind yourself that you are not trying to tune in to which car is on that piece of paper. That actually ruins the point of this exercise, because if you know what is on each piece of paper, then you're going to be biased and you're not going to be objective anymore. So you are not trying to tune into what car is on that piece of paper. You're trying to tune in objectively to each option, and the intention is to get a sense of if that car on that piece of paper would be a good choice for you, if it's in good shape, if it's an option you will like, and so on. Some people might get caught up in the impressions, trying to guess the car, or taking the impressions too literally. Let's say I'm seeing the color brown in my mind's eye. Does that mean that I'm tuning into the brown car? No, it just means that I'm seeing the color brown. So it's important to not get too caught up in the impressions you're getting, trying to take them literally in that way, and focusing not so much on trying to figure out what car is on that piece of paper, but just setting the intention of tuning into whether it's a good choice for you and just noticing any and all impressions, writing them down, and then afterwards feeling into, does that feel like I would interpret that as a positive or a negative? And then after doing this with each piece of paper, you can open them up and then see what impressions you got for each one. That can then inform your ultimate decision. Luckily for me, turns out the one that I was getting all positive associations with was the car that I also was feeling most drawn to originally as well. but it was good to have my intuition to confirm that it was a good choice. Had I been getting a lot of negative or mixed impressions with that car in particular, but I still felt drawn to that car, then I would think twice before buying it. Or if I did decide to go ahead with that car, then I would just mentally prepare for the possibility that there would be some issues with it. It's also possible that none of the three options showed any good positive impressions, really. And maybe that means that there is a better option out there than the three that you've looked into. Luckily for me, it was all just good impressions with this one. I did buy it, and a year on, I do love my car, and it has been true to all the metaphorical impressions that I was getting when I was tuning into it. Sunshine and joy, fast, fun, easy, and no mechanical issues. So to answer that question of, if I as a psychic tune into my own life, if I connect for myself, do readings for myself, I do use my intuition in my own life for most situations, but I also do like to get readings from other practitioners as well. I like to get one like once a year, especially if I've been having a hard time with something in my own life that I feel like I've been struggling with, or feel like I'm missing something, or if I just want a little peek into the future. It can be nice to have some confirmation of things that I already suspected, or get some insight into things that maybe I myself wasn't previously open to or was kind of blind to. I actually have an example of something that was predicted by other psychics that I went to see that I myself was not open to seeing in my own future, but did end up being a great thing, wonderful, and I did like it when it did come into my life. But am currently publishing a book on animal communication, and that was something that other psychics predicted. And after they predicted it, I still was not open to the idea of writing a book. They said they saw me writing a book. I was like, not interested, because it seemed like a lot of work. And not long after, an editor and publisher reached out and asked if I would like to write a book. And because I had those little heads up in those readings, I was a little more open to it and thought, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe this is a good thing. So if you want to learn how to use your own intuition more in your own daily life, I do have an online course for that, and you can find more info about that at my website. I'll put the link in the description as well.